Broadcasting live and worldwide. Here's Brodie Brazil.
Yes, we are in that final stretch of the Sharks' regular season. Where has the time gone? It honestly feels like opening night was just yesterday, but 7 games remain on the calendar, and that's just enough time, I feel, and I hope, to get everybody healthy. And that's also just enough time, I feel, and I hope that the Sharks can start feeling good about their game all over again. Right now, they've dropped 5 in a row, which is a brand new season high or low, depending on how you want to look at it. But to me, in what remains on the calendar, it's not even actually about wins and losses anymore. That's kind of a crazy thing to say, right? That's the point of sports, to win as many times as possible. But it's more important about preparing your team to be in their best state for the second week of April and beyond. The Sharks have already qualified for the Stanley Cup playoffs. They only don't know who they're going to face in round 1 and which team is going to have home ice advantage. Now, clearly, you can't be in a situation to back into the postseason. You want to have forward momentum as best as possible going into the playoffs. That's not just a hockey thing, that's a sports-wide thing. It's kind of an obvious one. But I'm also here to say that if certain players need extra rest due to injury or illness, or if you're Pete DeBoer and you want to experiment with a couple things that you think might work better for your team now and moving forward, if you want to continue the evolution and experimentation on a couple different things, now is definitely the time to do it. Why? Like I said, it only matters how this Sharks team looks at this point in the second week of April and beyond. That's all they're really ever going to be judged on anyway. All right, how about this? A topic I think people were considering, but maybe not exactly putting together as it happened. The Warriors and Sharks both struggling at the same time. And there were a lot of comparisons. Again, I'm not sure everybody was putting together in real time, like the Sharks having lost 5 in a row, which set a new season low for them. And the Warriors, check this out, from February 13th to late March, the 23rd of March, they went 8-8. 8 wins in 16 games, a 500 record for Golden State basketball. That is basically unheard of in the last handful of years. So some similarities between these two struggling groups. Clearly, both of them underperforming to expectations without a whole lot of time to spare in the regular season to get things right for the playoffs. Also, expectations, set at the highest bar possible. If you're the Warriors, you want to get back to winning another title. If you're the Sharks, the expectation has been there all the time to get to that first franchise Stanley Cup. Both teams also going through a marquee player set for free agency this summer. For Golden State, obviously Kevin Durant, and for the Sharks, Erik Karlsson, number 65. Nothing set in stone for either one of those guys as it stands right now. And also this, both teams have undergone some significant players lost to injury this season for substantial periods of time. So a lot of similarities between what the Warriors and Sharks have been going through in the last couple weeks and months. And yes, obviously there are some differences. For example, the Warriors with some apparent internal turmoil. Now, I'm not a basketball beat guy, so I'm not going to claim to know more than what I read and what I hear, but obviously there was some issues with Draymond Green and Kevin Durant and maybe a few others inside the locker room and away from the court. On the other side, for the Sharks, there is nothing apparently close to anything like that going on with internal conflicts. But you go back to the Warriors, yes, as I mentioned, they're trying to repeat a title. They've already taken it 3 times in the last 4 years. So they're, in essence, sitting atop a mountain trying to get a repeat performance of what they're accustomed to. And as for the Sharks, they're close to that peak of the mountain. Like, they've been climbing for so long now, they have just yet to see it from the very, very top. All right, let's get to what everybody is talking about with the Sharks right now, and that is defense. Whether you say it's team defense, whether you say it's goaltending, I've been saying this all along. The Sharks are going to go as far as defense takes them here in 2019. And I've been reading the replies on social media. Some are critical and saying that folks in the media aren't going hard enough on the goaltending. They're not criticizing it enough. Some are saying that the problems are 100% goaltending. Others are saying, why is everybody afraid to rip on the goalies? Well, let me just speak for myself. Obviously, I have my own eyes and observations, but I also go off of what coaches and players and teammates and the front office honestly says, and what analysts and hockey pundits are saying about this group, that team defense is the root issue. We can all clearly see that their play without the puck is the critical component to success this season. It has never been about offense for the Sharks, a lack of it, right? They put up on a regular basis at least 2 a night. They've barely gotten shut out this season, but oftentimes it's 3 and 4 goals. That's often enough, again, to win you a lot of games. But it's weird in the way that other teams offensively across the NHL, they slump with the puck. The Sharks have been seeming to slump without the puck this year. Their slumps and their ruts, they come defensively as opposed to offensively. But again, going back to that 100% thing, I don't think that's fair to say about any team's problem across the NHL. It's rare that you can say this is 100% the problem. Not even 90-10, 80-20, 60-65. Do you catch my math there? I was just seeing if you're awake. But yeah, it's rarely ever 100 and 0. So I don't see how you can say it's 100% a goalie issue. And I don't believe that it's that close anyway. I do believe, though, it's a fluid mix. There's a couple different components of team defense. And yes, goaltending is a main facet of it. Let's just take a step back, because I don't want to completely turn away from goaltending. I know a lot of you out there, and there is a certain faction and group of people out there who are just so set on, this is the problem. I know it's the problem, Brodie. Why won't you agree with me and say it's the problem? I think we're all entitled to our own opinion, and I also think we all clearly agree that play without the puck is the root matter here, and we're just trying to, instead of pick out one ingredient or the other, instead of just looking at everything and saying all this is accumulating to the issue that we're all seeing. But the goalie stats this season have clearly not been complimentary. Going away from stats for just a second, it does feel like the Sharks goalies have put up more, I'll do air quotes for the YouTube video, more stinkers this season than we are typically used to. And actually, I went and looked up the stats on it, and they do kind of back that up. For example, Martin Jones, 57 starts. Of those, 26 have been quality starts. Now, I know a lot of baseball fans are saying, wait, that's a pitcher's stat. Yes, it is, but here's the way that it has been equated in this case. A quality start is when a goalie's save percentage in that game, in that start, is greater than their average save percentage of the season. So again, Martin Jones 26 times has gone out there and posted an individual save percentage in that game greater than what his season save percentage was at that point. For Aaron Dell, 5 quality starts in 18 total starts. So again, for Jones, a little bit less than half, and for Dell, a little bit less than 1/3. How does that translate, though? I know you're saying, well, what do other goalies look like in that stat? Let's stay in the Pacific Division with the 2 other competitive teams. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, Marc-Andre Fleury has made 59 starts as I tape this, 34 quality starts, so more than half. And up in Calgary, David Rittich has made 39 starts. Of those, this is impressive, 24 quality starts. And Mike Smith, the other part of their equation, 18 quality starts. And I think, I forgot to write it down here, but I think Smith was in the mid to low 30s in starts. So you're seeing it here that Jones and Dell, in terms of quality starts relating to total starts, yeah, they've not had a lot of outstanding nights, or even nights where they live up to the bar they've set for themselves this season. I could also go further on the individual stats, and clearly Martin Jones is your number one, but no goalie in the NHL has given up more goals than he has this season, and he has also faced 100 to 200 less shots than most of those other goalies, the regulars, this season. But on the flip side, Martin Jones has the third most wins right now in all of the National Hockey League. And when the Sharks have held opponents to 2 or fewer, right, they are undefeated this year 30 times. 30-0 is San Jose when they allow 2 or fewer. And they've done it 30 times in 75 tries. So I don't want to say half, because 30 is definitely not half of 75, but coming close to half the time the Sharks have allowed 2 or fewer. A significant amount of times. Let's just say it like that. It's not like Martin Jones and Aaron Dell are not capable of being really, really good. It's just that this season, a lot of times we've been talking about the have and have not games, the good and not so good performances. And again, these are the individual breakdowns of them, but I think there's a bigger picture here. How the team played that night defensively, how many odd man rushes there were, how many net front chances there were, how many high danger chances there were. I know that's a big fan favorite stat out there. So there's a lot to consider beyond what the numbers are just telling you. And I can paint a lot of different pictures a lot of different ways with numbers. That's, I guess, another point I want to make here. 75 games into the season, I've watched every moment of, I'll say 73 of them. And the other 2, I had an eye on it. It was probably an off night, a national broadcast. And so I was watching and paying attention to 2 things at once. But you understand my point here. If you watch the gameplay this season, and I know a lot of you have, it's different than some who will be critical of the Sharks goaltending, who are just looking at these numbers and can use numbers to make a lot of different points individually and collectively. But the last thing I want to get to here on Jones and Dell, like, are we suggesting, if it is goaltending, are we suggesting that both these guys in their track records have gotten significantly worse in the course of this season? I mean, the stats do suggest that, yes. But I'm saying, what are the chances that both guys have an individual struggle season the same season? And to think that there's nothing else involved with that. Imagine 5 people going out to dinner at a restaurant, and 4 of them the next day aren't feeling so well. What are the chances that 4 people got sick just randomly, as opposed to 4 out of those 5, might have gotten some type of food poisoning? That's weird. I just made a food poisoning and team defense correlation. But I hope that makes a certain amount of success. But again, just to look at the numbers on a guy like Martin Jones, his goals against, which I do think is a lot of times a team statistic, right? It falls on the goalie, but it's really an amount of goals that the team allows on average while that goaltender is in there. I mean, his first season with the Sharks, it was a sterling 2.27 goals against. Next year, it goes up to 2.40. Then last season, a 2.55, which is okay, fine, and understandable. I mean, 2.27 was outstandingly amazing. But to have some upward ticks is normal. To go from a 2.55 last year to a 2.91 this season, there has to be something else to the picture. And again, it's not just an individual thing. Aaron Dell is a smaller sample size. His first year was amazing at a 2 flat goals against in 2016-17. Last season, it went all the way up to a 2.64. All right, so there is some cause for concern. And then this season, it's at a 3.14. Save percentage looks like this for Martin Jones. I mean, he's typically, ever since he's been with the Sharks, a 9-teens guy, right? 9.18 his first season in San Jose, 9.12 the year after that, 9.15 last year, and now he's not even in the 900s, 8.98 as it stands right now. So maybe that's even a clearer picture of a level of consistency that all of a sudden has changed. And Aaron Dell is not a lot different. 9.31 his first season save percentage with the Sharks, 9.14 last year, so it dipped, 14, 15, actually, 17 points there. And now it's at an 8.87, which is a much bigger jump. I mean, that is basically doubled. The decrease in save percentage has doubled this regular season. So again, something must be going on here, I think, more than just the individual aspect of goaltending. Maybe more of a team issue, what's happening in front of these guys, what's happening in front of the blue paint. Just to close things out here, I feel like I could make 100 different videos on this topic because it is that important to the San Jose Sharks, what they do without the puck the rest of this season and trying to turn around a defense that has had some challenges along the way. And no matter where your beliefs are, no matter what you think has been the issue, I think when we all take a step back and look at it from the bigger picture, we all agree it's team defense for this group, including the goaltending, but hard to maybe point your finger at one specific thing. I really do feel like we're splitting hairs when we say it's all about the goalies or it's all about the skaters in front of the goalies. It realistically is a combination of a lot of different things, but we can all generally agree what the bigger issue is. Again, going back to these last couple weeks of the Sharks regular season, not how many goals they score. That's not what it's about. Not how many wins they're able to tally. It's what they do defensively, and for me, the kind of role that they can get themselves back on and the momentum they can gain, the steam that they can gain going into what we know is a Stanley Cup second season, Stanley Cup playoff second season for the San Jose Sharks. Hey, if you liked this video, do me a favor, like it down below. Also consider subscribing to this channel. I've been trying to put out as much good content as I can here, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. I'm doing it a lot for the gram as of late, so check me out on there. Also podcasting now via iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify, so subscribe on the platform and device of your choice. That does it for this time around. Until next time, I'm Brodie Brazil, and yes, that is my real name.